Hi everybody, I'm Missy and welcome back to my farmhouse kitchen today. Today I'm going to be showing you what I do with my butter after I've made it. So I have another video that shows you how I make the butter, how I skim the cream off of the milk and make the butter in my butter churn, and then this is how it turns out. So I have to do something with it after it gets to this point, and I'm going to show you a few different things that I do with our butter to package it and store it so that we can use it. So right now I make butter about once a week because we get a lot of cream, and of course we can't use this much butter. This is a lot, but what I do is I package it up and I store it, some in the refrigerator, some in the freezer, and that way if we have lean times when we don't have as much cream and we're not able to make as much butter, well, we have butter in the freezer that we can use. And butter really lasts a long time in the freezer if you package it up well. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So one of the things that I like are antique and vintage items. If you've followed me very long, you know that because I have them in my house. But I really like to collect things that I can use. You know, like baskets and store like boxes to store things in, things like that. I want the items that I have to have a purpose. And so one of the things that I collect are antique butter molds, and you can see some of those here. And I use these. I use them to make to mold my butter. So I really like the idea of them. They are really pretty. They all have different, oh, that's not good. They all have different designs, and if you use them on your butter, it just gives your butter a really nice and kind of fancy look. It really kind of impresses me that the ladies used to go to the trouble to mold their butter and turn it into something pretty. And so these are some of the butters that I've molded. These are frozen. I just took them out of the freezer to show them to you. But these are some of them. And I just really like this. I think this is a really pretty way to serve your butter, you know, for kind of a fancier dinner, or if you have company over or something like that. It's a very pretty presentation to serve your butter at the table when it's molded in a pretty little butter mold like this. So I do use these. I don't use them for our everyday butter. I use them for our fancy butter. So I will show you what I do for our everyday butter too. But let me go ahead and tell you how I package these up. Once they're molded, because they'll be soft, they'll be pretty soft, I go ahead and I put them on a cookie sheet and I put them in the freezer for a little while for a quick freeze to get them hard so that I won't mess them up when I package them. And what I do is I will take this butter and wrap it up in saran wrap like this, and this really, it sticks to it, so this will keep any ice from forming on the butter. And then it goes into a Ziploc bag. So these all are wrapped in saran wrap. They go into the Ziploc freezer bag, and then this butter can be stored in the freezer for months, and it stays good. You can take it out and use it whenever you need to. So that is what I do with my butter that I've molded with my butter molds. Now, another thing that I do with my butter is I keep some out to be soft butter, because we like to have soft butter if we're making toast or biscuits or baked potatoes, things like that. So the way I store that butter is in a little butter crock like this. And I think these are called butter bells or butter crocks. But the way they work is that you put some water in here, your butter goes in this part, and then when you put your butter into the crock, the water forms a seal on it and keeps it fresh. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So when my butter is like this, it's just come out of the butter churn. Now if it's too soft and just is melty, I'll stick it in the refrigerator for a little while and let it firm up a little bit, which this is a little bit on the verge of being too soft. But it needs to have a little substance to it in order to be able to do what I'm going to do with it. So you just fill up the little container part here with some of your soft butter. And then I'm gonna fill this up about halfway with water. I'm gonna use filtered water to do that. Okay. And then, like I said, you just stick your butter down in here, and that water seals it and keeps it fresh. You can take it out, you can use it, and it'll be soft. So you'll leave this sitting out on your counter. You don't put it in the refrigerator or it'll be hard butter. It won't be soft butter. So if you want a soft butter, this is a really good way to do that. And you'll need to change the water out every day to keep it fresh. So I've got my soft butter for the next few days, and now I still have this much butter left to do something with. So I'm going to show you what I do with that. I'm going to move some of these things out of the way so that you can see well. Alright, so what I do with this is I use a little scoop. And this is a number 40 scoop. It is 3/4 of an ounce, which is over a tablespoon, about a tablespoon and a half. You can get, if you want to get a scoop that is exactly a tablespoon, that would be a number 70, so it's a little smaller than this, and it is half an ounce, which is equivalent to a tablespoon. So I use this one, and because I know that it is about a tablespoon and a half, I can determine how many of these, we call them butter balls at our house. They're not exactly round, but that's what we call them. So I can determine how many butter balls I need for any recipe that I'm making. So all I do is I take my little scoop and I put my butter out onto a cookie sheet like this. This is pretty much this is my butter freezing cookie sheet. So I just fill this up with my little butter balls. For the longest time, I had a problem with the butter. I couldn't really figure out the best way to store it for everyday use, and especially when I had an overabundance and I needed to store it for, a length of time. And when I think it was my daughter that came up with this idea, and this has been a lifesaver for us since then because it really does work really well. Okay, so this is what they look like, and now they're ready to go in the freezer. I'm going to stick these in the freezer. Really doesn't take very long until they firm up and they get hard enough that I can go ahead and store them. So I'm going to put these in the freezer, and then I'll be back to show you what they look like when they come out. Okay, my butter is ready now, and so I've taken it out the freezer, and it is quick frozen. It's ready to go into storage containers. And so the way I do this is I put these into Ziploc freezer bags. either the quart size or the gallon size, whatever I have. I only have quart right now, so that's what I'm going to put these in. And so I just use a metal spatula to get them off of the cookie sheet. And these have been sitting out for just a couple of minutes because when you first take them off, they're really stuck and they don't want to come off. So if you kind of just let them sit there for a few minutes, they're easier to get off and get into your bag. So this is what I would consider my everyday butter. This is the butter that we just use when we take butter out to use it on whatever. I use this in my recipes because I can kind of estimate the measurement. It might not be perfect, but I'm not that perfect of a cook. I usually don't follow recipes real closely. So this is how we store our butter that we use every day. These butter balls work really good for me. Let me show you some that have been in the freezer and how easily they come out of the bag. Okay, so I keep a bag of these in the freezer in my kitchen, so they're real handy when I need to grab some butter while I'm cooking. And this is how they are. They're just totally separate. You know, they're not stuck together at all. I can take out 1, I can take out 2, I can take out 10, whatever amount I need for my recipe. I can just grab these little butter balls out and use them. So I just got to keep these in my freezer in the kitchen. I also have a lot of them stored in my big freezer that's in the back because we make a lot of butter at certain times of the year, and this is one of those times where I'm making a lot of butter. So I put it in the freezer. It will keep for months, and we always have butter to use. Okay, I hope this video has been helpful to you. I hope it gave you some ideas for what you can do with your butter after you have your butter made and how to store it so that it makes it easy for you to use it, because that's the whole point. And we're kind of used to sticks of butter from buying it in the grocery store. Well, if you start making your own, you kind of have to figure out what works for you. And remember that I do have a how to make butter, the first part of this, showing you how I skim the cream off my milk, and then how I use the churn and make my butter. So be sure and watch that video if you didn't see it yet. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned something and that it gave you ideas for what to do with your butter. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I would appreciate your help so much in growing my channel. The reason I make videos is to hopefully help you, so I really do appreciate the people who watch the videos, and I hope that they are a help to you. Thank you for being here today, and I hope to see you again soon.